Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing this April the 3rd, 2025, daily cryptocurrency and XRP video. And we ask you to notification, subscribe down below, like the channel and share it as we are building and changing the narrative in the cryptocurrency sphere on social media and the mainstream, big or small channels and news services to bring back truth, trust, education, and information back into the market. And we start today just north of downtown Detroit, inside the Vincenzo compound, Jay, with a current temperature of a mild, beautiful spring evening of 49 degrees, Jay. And we take a look at the tariffs, and we've been talking about not as much as we should have been, but that the tariffs are bearish in the United States. And I went on a little bit of a mini rant earlier about what tariffs are and how they equate to taxes on the people that buy the products that have a tariff on it. And in this case, the United States is buying all the products that he's putting tariffs on because we have to import virtually anything and everything from shoes to tires to lawnmowers to shirts to pants to plates to silverware, washing machines, TVs, entertainment centers, dining rooms, couches, kitchens, bathrooms, etc. Most things are imported, so we're going to be paying the tariff. The buyers, they're just going to jack the price up 25%. Wall Street ends, and you've seen this with massive sell-offs in the stock market in the United States and across Europe, Japan. All three benchmarks slump after Trump tariffs announcement. Dow down 4%, the biggest one-day fall on all three since the COVID dump. The S&P 4.84. The Nasdaq was the biggest one, down at nearly 6%. Russell 2000, the worst day since June of 2020 during the COVID collapse. A combined 2.4 trillion in stock market value was wiped off the S&P companies as the benchmark suffered its largest one-day percentage decline since the COVID 2020. The trigger was Trump 10% tariff on most U.S. imports and much higher levies on dozens of other countries, which threatened to unleash a global economic upheaval. Investors sold positions to reflect the new economic reality with concerns about how other countries would react to Trump's proclamation from the White House. China vowed retaliation, as did the European Union, which faces a 20% duty. South Korea, Mexico, India, and several other trading partners said they would hold off for now as they seek concessions before the targeted tariffs take effect on April 9th. Right. So it's very interesting that we want to do the whole tax tariff deal with the countries that we have to purchase from to keep things on the shelf because we don't, like 100 years ago, produce everything here. We virtually produce nothing. So that's having problems with the market, and it's coinciding with a crypto dump that we've been having from the all-time highs and what we've been forecasting for several months. And now some of these targets, I think this is the downwards existential uh thing to happen that's going to flush and flush big the crypto market down to some of these lower targets. You can see the Ikea is down 2% already today because their stock market's open now. It had a very bad day the night before. The Chinese stock market has actually been doing the best over the last 3 months. They're up 15%. That is one because they just had a massive decline in their stock market from 2021 till October of 2022. They were down about 50%, but they're the biggest manufacturing. They have all the manufacturing, so they're selling the products that are having tariffs put in on them, and the United States citizens are paying it when they buy the products. But on with the crypto. But that's just some of the truth and education that you need and information because whether you like the president, don't like the president, we don't get political here, but when the news out of the White House affects the crypto markets, we talk about it, right? And the Bitcoin price had a down day, and we've been expecting it, but it was magnified because it was coming off of a nice little rally yesterday, right? So from top of rally to bottom, it went down almost 8.5% in a very short amount of time. We've been expecting this. We're still where we were earlier today. We're only a few days away, probably about 5 days away from having the bears cross from the 50 to get underneath the 200, like we've been talking about. And I think in the next 6 days, we're going to come down and hit this $73,000, probably wick a little bit below it, maybe get a little bit of a reactionary bounce. But I think this is all setting up with the tariffs, the downward pressure and the selling in the stock market. I think this is the perfect opportunity to have a big flush, kind of how you've seen a big rally here at the top of that euphoric top before you started trading sideways. I think this is a great time to have a big flush down to the neckline that we've been waiting for, and then have a nice return rally after that. And then you start chopping into the right shoulder, right? So that's something I'm going to be watching out for over the next 6 to 10 days, as the sell pressure and the reality of tariffs, if they don't come off the board. And there's some kind of settlements in some of these countries. This is a perfect opportunity to have that big tank, as would it would be a perfect time for the XRP to fulfill its targeted move, because we've been in this head and shoulders topping out reversal pattern for 4 or 5 months now. And we've been talking about it for almost as long, and it's getting exhausted on the right shoulder. As you can see, it's held support several times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Eventually, that's going to break, and the targeted move's going to get hit, and that's at $1.29. And then you won't have to hear me talk about the $1.29 and how it's going to come down there for 3.5 since mid-January. We've been talking about it, February, March, almost 3 months now. We've been talking about this, and it's going to happen. And this is probably, or could be, the news that really puts it over the top and forces it down to that targeted move. We're about to have that bearish cross here that we've been talking about, and this is one of the last coins to do it. You can see now the 50-day is coming down drastically. And if the price stays down or has a bigger fall down the next 24 to 36 hours, by Monday, we could have that bearish cross finally happen. Then you're going to see the 200-day moving average. We can take that off. We've seen that. The 200-day moving average, you're going to notice by next week, the end of next week, it's going to start to do this, right? And then up here, you're going to have by the end of next week, the 50 is going to be right there. So the 50 is going to be right there. Oops, get rid of that. Delete that dot. And the 200-day moving average is going to be trending like that, and then starting to trend down. And eventually, in about 14 to 21 days, you're going to have a golden bearish cross where that 50 is not only going to be below the 100 in blue, it's going to be below the 200, right? And that's how it's going to work. And that's what's going to form this bottom and the pressure. It's all coming together at the perfect time for the price action and the chart and the existential news with the tariffs to have a dump down to the technical target, which would be 38% more from where we're at. And old Vincenzo, by calling it up here in mid-January from top to targeted move, that is a 62.69% flush, and we will be validated. And for me saying and giving you the best information, and that's the value right there, that there would be a better buying opportunity if you'd never bought and you were FOMOing in based on all the euphoric other stations on the mainstream, what they were saying, but we kept you level-headed. AMP is one that has not had a return rally. I still think eventually it's going to have a return rally out of this, independent of the overall market, in this down and sideways channel, and have a move back up to the technical target. But when is it going to happen? Who knows? Will it happen? I think it should, but does that mean it has to happen? Absolutely not. But I think it's doing exactly what we did here, where you had the early spring 24 pump, followed by a massive down and sideways consolidation, almost, or it briefly touched pre-pump, and then it had a massive rally. Didn't quite take out that high, but got almost all the way back. And I'm thinking this will do something like that from wherever it goes, and maybe come up into this range. And from where it's at now, that's a massive rally. So we're going to continue to see if that's going to happen. I think it's going to happen, but it doesn't mean it has to. The same way as I think H bar, now that we've hit our technical target, you can see we've been talking about this since we were back here in January. We had a mountain double top, or it looks like an M. You go from the top to the neckline. Still do not want to buy you, and I do not approve of you interrupting this valuable information. But you go from the top to the neckline to the point of a breakout, and that's how we got the 15-cent target. And we were telling you after that with the Bears cross and then the Golden Bears cross. As you can see here, the Bears cross happened a few weeks ago. The Golden Bears cross is going to happen, I would say, in the next 5 days. And I believe that's going to be a catalyst too to drive you down to our next target that we've been telling you would happen down here at the 0.09042, and then followed by maybe a rally, something like that could possibly happen after that. But H bar is going according to plan. XDC, we have this head and shoulders. We've been talking about this since we were way up here, making our run up to the top part of this channel, and we covered all of this and drew out this head and shoulders and told you that is your targeted move. And we're getting close, and I think we're very, very close to having a big breakdown and hitting that technical target at the top part of that orange trading zone. Algo is the same thing. We've been saying 10 cents ad nauseum ever since we were up here, got rejected at this green trading box and started trading along the top part of this red resistance and support zone and said if you fail to hold this, and at the time fall below the 50-day moving average that was rising right along it, that you were coming down to 23 cents. And then eventually we were telling you were going to have this bearish cross, which you did, and then you would come down to 17 cents, and you did, and then we would eventually find our way all the way back at 10 cents while we were up here dancing around the 47 cents and the 35 cents. I was telling you we were coming down to 10 cents back then. Just go watch some videos. My Jabroni Killer members, $3.99 a month. The support channel video description or the pinned comment below. No, that's what we were talking about. You can watch those videos. I made hundreds of them every single day. We were talking about it. The same thing with DGB. We identified this head and shoulders topping out reversal pattern, which seems to be the most common and the most used pattern on this crypto top were these head and shoulders. We put out this target down here at 0.005, which we use this red line right here as your technical target. You wicked down and got close on that February 3rd flush. Then you traded back up, had the pump, had the pump, had another mini pump here. And each time we're telling you, you have to come down here. And I think that's where you're going very, very soon and very, very short. Like the channel, subscribe. You are the main part of this channel to help spread the word, to help grow this channel, to help spread our message, and to help force truth, trust, education, and information back into the online cryptocurrency sphere. Peace and love, the Rex Eyebrow J.